Hey guys, welcome to the Mom Show. I'm your host, Courtney Doyle, and this is a place I am giving you permission to not have it all together.
Welcome back to the show. Today I want to start a little differently. If you listened to last week's episode with Jill Savage, you probably walked away thinking one of two things. Either you were like, wow, God is so good and what a redemption story. Or you thought, well, that's beautiful, but my story doesn't look like that. And maybe your situation still feels very broken or unresolved, unanswered. Maybe your marriage isn't restored or your child hasn't come back. Maybe the thing that you have been praying for still hasn't changed. And if we're not careful, we can very easily hear a story like Jill's, and instead of feeling encouraged, we can feel discouraged. We can feel like, well, that's not me, like, good for you. But we start to wonder, why hasn't God done that for me? Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever heard someone else's story or listened to somebody else's life and thought, wow, that's great for you, but that's not my life. That's not my story. Well, I want to speak to that directly today because, yes, Jill shared a story of incredible redemption, a marriage that was broken and a marriage that was restored, a trust that was shattered and then rebuilt, and a relationship that looked like it was finished but then has been made new again and more beautiful than they could have ever imagined. And we want to celebrate that with her. We should celebrate that with her because that is the power of God. Only God could do something like that. But I want to gently shift something for you today. Redemption does not always look like restoration the way we expect it. Let's talk about that. Redemption doesn't always look like restoration in the way we expect it. Do you hear the key word there? See, sometimes God restores the relationship, and sometimes He restores you within the situation. Both are redemption. Let's go back a minute. I want to say all of that again, because I want to make sure you're hearing it. Redemption does not always look like restoration in the way we expect it. You see that expectation there? Sometimes God restores the relationship, and sometimes He restores you within the situation. Both of them are redemption. I think a lot of us have unknowingly defined redemption as, well, God's going to fix it, and He's going to fix it the way I want Him to fix it, and He's going to bring them back, or He's going to heal the marriage, or He's going to change the outcome. And sometimes He does, but sometimes He starts by changing you. And if I'm honest, that's not always the version of redemption that we're praying for, because sometimes we don't see the change that is needed inside of us. We want the situation that we're in to be fixed. We want the pain to be gone. We want the story to be wrapped up in a bow. Gosh, I have been there. I'll tell a little story. I have been working on a book since 2017, and I knew how I wanted it to end. I just knew this is what God had told me. This is how it's going to end. And I'll be really honest, I felt like I was so close to the ending, and it was just going to be this beautiful package with a bow, and the ending I longed for so deeply. And I don't know that that's the ending. And when it started to reveal itself that that was not the ending, I put the book aside. I felt confused. I was like, but God, I really felt like this is what you told me, or this is what I thought was going to happen. And as of right now, it doesn't look like that it's going to end with the package and the bow that I imagined. Because what if God is doing something deeper than that? What if the redemption isn't just about what God fixes, but what if it's about what He transforms? You know, I've had seasons in my life where I begged God to change something. I still sit in a season where I'm begging for change. I'm begging for it to be fixed. I'm begging for it to be made right. And so far, it's not fixed and it's not made right the way I hoped. And of course, not in the timeline or the way that I wanted Him to fix it. But what I have seen that he is doing is that he has been changing me all along. He has changed the way I've responded. He's changed the way I've thought. He has changed things that I was holding on to, and he's taught me to release them. He has changed the way I am in peace, even if it doesn't end the way I had hoped. And so slowly, without even realizing it at first, he has been redeeming something. Not because he's removed the struggle, he's not removed the tension, he hasn't removed the estrangement, but he has been refining something in me and in my family. There's a line that Jill shared, and man, it stayed with me, and I think it's going to stay with you. She said, "It is not well with my circumstances, but it can be well with my soul." And that was such a powerful statement. And that is such a powerful place to live, because it means I don't have to wait for everything around me to change in order for something inside of me to change and something inside of me to become steady. It means, peace isn't dependent on the outcome. It is rooted in who God says he is and who I believe he is. And I know that there are moms who are listening right now who are maybe in the middle of something really hard. Maybe you have a child that is struggling, or you have a relationship that feels distant. Your situation feels heavy, and you're wondering, where's the redemption in this? I want to remind you, just because you can't see it doesn't mean God isn't working on it. He is working in ways that you cannot see. He is moving in places that you cannot reach. He is doing things that are not bound by your timeline. And sometimes the very place you feel the most broken becomes the place God does the deepest work. Redemption requires something from us, though. It requires surrender. It requires letting go of the need to control the outcome and trusting God in the process. It requires us to laying down our expectations and trusting and believing that when nothing looks different, or nothing looks the way we expected it, God is still very much moving. And it requires us staying anchored, not letting bitterness take root, not letting lies define us or your circumstances determine your identity. And maybe today, your only step in this is to say, God, it may not be well with my circumstances, but I want it to be well with my soul. I don't know your story, and I don't know how it ends, but I do know this. God is not finished. He is still writing. He is still in the business of restoring and redeeming. And if you let him, he can absolutely take what feels so broken and create something more beautiful than you ever imagined. May not be the way you expected it, but it will always be a way that reflects his goodness. Thank you for being here. I hope this episode has encouraged you. And if it has, would you share it with another mom who maybe needs this same reminder? As always, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to The Mom Show with Courtney Doyle. Remember to check the show notes for any links, books, or resources that are mentioned in each episode. We want to be sure this blesses other mothers, and in order to do this, if you're listening via podcast, be sure that you like and share. If you could write a review, that would be fantastic. It helps us get in front of other moms. If you're watching via YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This way, you won't ever miss an episode. We want to make sure that we increase our reach to other mothers who need a little encouragement, a community, and a whole lot of Jesus. We're so glad you're here.